Thank you, ladies and gentlemen and research students to have come here. Brahmbhatt Sahib, no, if I give you introduction, he's my guru. When I started my research, and actually my guru, and in inverted my guru, so nothing mixing. When I started my research, he was the person who took my first that classroom class also, but he guided me so much and how to do it and mentally made me ready. સાહેબ તમને યાદ નહીં હોય તમારી સાથે તમારી કેબિનમાં નિરમામાં બેઠેલો અને તમે મને ગાઈડ કરેલો એવો કે ભાઈ આની તૈયારી because we were all professionals. I was working as a Deloitte partner and you can imagine a Deloitte partner getting into a research and then there is a 5, 6, 7 years of extensive commitment that and then sir said that how do we do more about managing our life to do this research and committing to ourselves. So that was the first starting point of the commitment of doing the research and fortunately I completed sahib.
Thank you so much.
No, it's a pleasure. કારણ કે 7 જણા હતા અમારી બેચમાંથી એમાં 2 જણાએ કમ્પ્લીટ કર્યું 5 of them gave up ના કર્યું કારણ કે because everybody was busy and in the professional world it is not easy to commit to research because I dedicated my Sunday every Sunday afternoon હું IIM માં બેસતો હતો. I am also a professor at IIM, so I had that so thank you ladies and gentlemen, again an ideal research process leading to implementable research. And now with the background that I have given about the our sir Professor Brahmbhatt, that who could be a better speaker for us than him to guide us on the implementable research that we need to do. And sir, I have your but before I will introduce sir, but before that I will do the honors of giving him a token. Just a token, this is our logo of AMA and done in a very traditional style, sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you, sir. I will introduce Brahmbhatt, sir. He has over 5 decades in academia. Like most of us are less than 5 decades in our age also in academia, and has taught at leading institutions across India and mentored doctoral research extensively. Holds an MSc from MS University, Baroda, PhD from Gujarat University, completed faculty development program at IIM Ahmedabad, formerly head of marketing at BK School and chairperson of doctoral program at Nirma University. And that is when I joined Nirma University for my doctoral program also. He currently serves as a research mentor at PDEU and Kadi Sarva Vishwavidyalaya and certainly keeps on guiding hundreds of students like us whenever we meet, I would say, and people would be remembering you all over the world, I would think, certainly. Sahib, tomorrow phone wage. He has published 34 research papers, guided 10 PhD scholars, and served an editorial board of 8 journals. His consulting work spans ISRO, SEWA, oil. Means oil is our one of the PSUs, right? And then GSC, SC and others, a recipient of several academic awards including the Best Professor of Marketing by Dainik Bhaskar in 2013. He's also co-founded the Consumer Education and Research Center, CERC as it is known as, in Ahmedabad. So once again, thank you Brahmbhatt Sahib for coming here and giving us insights on the implementable research, which is the only thing is a commitment, right? We take up a project and don't make a plan B. That's what I would say. Plan A and plan A, we will complete our research sooner or later, and of course not later than what the university will allow us, right? I got a notice from Nirma on the 6th year. And now if you do not complete within so your thesis within so and so period, then your program will be terminated. I was there at a thesis, but not then. From that day, I had to do at cost of everything that I was doing. I was gotten into this because there was a deadline. So better plan, commit, and make sure that this happens. I started, and I'll take one more minute. I started research for 2 reasons. One, કે ભાઈ નામની આગળ ડૉક્ટર લાગે સારું લાગતું પણ અને બીજું IIM I was a visiting faculty and all the professors were PhD and I was feeling little FOMO કે ચલો I am missing out on this designation. But I continue 19 years I have been teaching at IIM. I now teach multiple courses. I now teach mergers, acquisitions, business taxation and હવે I am also a professor at IIT Gandhinagar. So I enjoying that. That's what I feel, that this research is helping me do this giving back to the society. But the most important thing is that when I started with ke doctor laga, but after 2, 3, 4 years in the process of research, you will start liking it so much, because you will start feeling that now you are gaining so much. Every day you are reading 2, 3, 4 literature, all that 2, 3, 4 literature is adding to your value itself. પછી એક પોઈન્ટ તો એવો આવશે કે ના થાય ડોક્ટરલ તો બી આ મારે વાંચવાનું ચાલુ રાખવું છે, because I am myself becoming little more enlightened every day. એટલે then the process changes from just doing a PhD for the sake of it to actually doing something which is lot of effort and work, then getting feeling of that yes, you are actually gaining something, and finally giving a product which could be used by people at large as your research thesis. So this is a fabulous contribution that we can do as researchers to the world at large, to the country also, and to our institutions where we are working. So please do this and commit, and you will enjoy it. It is absolutely an enjoyment if you do it by heart, right sir? And over to you sir. તમે બેસીને બોલી શકો છો, આ માઇક્રોફોન ત્યાં છે, and then or however you are comfortable that you would like to speak. તમારે ત્યાં. Yeah, thank you sir. હું પાછળ બેઠો છું, પણ then I will leave in some time as I do. હા, yes. Leave in some time sir.
Thank you so much. Thank you all. I don't know how much do I deserve to what he talk about. I aspire to be something like what he talked about, you know. It is sheer amount of goodness, greatness of Honorable President to talk about all these things, remembering the great grand days, because it's not only the students' fortune, but sometimes PhD guide also. We are also fortunate to have some such great scholars with us, you know. Lots of responsibility of his own responsibility carrying, and still, however, he was so studious. So I think it is sheer amount of goodness, greatness on his part. It is adding, probably this feather is being added to his crown of glory of presidency here. You know, this is an additional feather. Today I am to talk about something that I have a concern, having been to several institutions for about 4.5 decades, that you know, it is research in the name of research we don't want. You know, the advancement or the growth of any country, along with so many socio-economic factors, depend also on, I believe, that the true original research being carried out in that country, more so in the universities and the colleges. You know, if you do research for the sake of research has no meaning. Sometimes I call it go, garbage in and garbage out, you know. For the sake of, obviously not research. If you do research for 4 months, 6 months, 1 year, and you end up with a conclusion which is obvious, obvious is not research, you know. It should be conclusive, it should be actionable, it should be implementable. And all this depends on which research process do you adopt. And therefore I have always an emphasis on research process that you adopt. Right from commencing from comprehensive literature review till reporting findings, the entire journey is a research process. All logical steps, right from survey, comprehensive literature survey, till reporting, you travel through varieties of stages. That stages is nothing but a research process. And I think it should be very sound. It is much closer to scientific method. Scientific method is nothing but a sequence of logical steps. Our 20th century researchers also have thought about scientific method. Comet, Mills, they were the researchers. They thought about scientific method. So such sequence should be followed here. So right from, as I said, comprehensive literature review, and I attach a meaning to every word. If you do comprehensive literature review, it should be comprehensive. I was chairman of PhD program, Nirma University, and we have RPC, Research Progress Committee. And on that there are variety of panel members. And we have one senior professor of IIM Ahmedabad. A student was in the very first phase, it was the initial session presented before us. And he was presenting a comprehensive literature review. 20 minutes, and when I asked professor to give a comment, he said, Mr. So-and-so, he gave 4 references. I said, dear friend, you did not touch upon this. In that domain, that discipline in which he was doing. He said, these 4 references, very vital, everybody should know. This is not comprehensive. This should be truly comprehensive, I think. You should have tapped almost all sources possible. If you do it, it leads you to research problem. Comprehensive literature review leads to research gap. What is not done, what is not explored, or what is underexplored. Something is done in world context but not done in Indian context. It's a gap. Something done in Indian context but not done in Gujarat context. Maybe it's a gap. So identify a research gap. A true comprehensive literature review will lead to a gap. And research gap leads you to research problem, to bridge that gap. Now you will make efforts to bridge that gap. These are the AI days. In comprehensive literature, even AI tools will help you. So let it make it comprehensive. And it throws open a research gap. Research gap leads you to research problem. And research problem could be one-liner. Your research problem may be a small para also, but it could be one-liner, a one-line statement. But it's you are facing trying to answer some challenge also. So gap is something unexplored, something underexplored, or it may be a real challenge, and you take it up. So this is your research problem. Research problem, don't mistake it with the symptoms. Sometimes unnecessarily you are meddled with symptoms of a problem. And you spend 6 months, 8 months with the system, meddling with it. Problem is far off. And it is system. Decline in market share is the system. Something has gone wrong somewhere. It's not a research problem. So identify a research problem clearly. Split the research problem into 4 or 5 research questions. Splitting. Research problem was much general, a broader issue, a broader concern. And research questions are specific, the parts of the research problem. So now you are specifically addressing, called research question, 4 or 5, not 10, 12. Research question. Research question, research problem is giving overall view. Research questions give you the whole chapterization. It gives you the roadmap. Research problem is addressing a major problem. But the research questions will give you, as I said, it gives you the entire roadmap. But it should be 4 or 5, not more. Right. And research questions are nothing but research objective. Sometimes supervisor and guide both are confused. In the earlier months of doctorate, what should be our research objective? The students also moving from person to person. Okay, sir, what should I merge? You need not search objective as such. If you have defined the research question 4, then write 2 to identify the demographics, 2 get into the psychographics. You write 2 and you have 4 or 5 objectives. And it should not be 10, 12. It is 4 or 5, enough. Mind you, it gives a roadmap. Not only it gives you chapterization. Your chapter 1 is introduction, any study. But your research question 1 may be referring to your chapter 2 and 3. Your research question 2 maybe corresponds with the chapter 4. Your research question 3 is nothing but you are addressing chapter 4 and 5. Your research question 4 is chapter 6. You directly can link it. See, lots of clarity will come initially in your mind. There is no clarity. We lose clarity. In doctorate or any other study, what we miss is clarity about it. You are now much clear that, as I say, you are in the initial months of the study, You have done 4-5 objectives, but now whole roadmap is in your mind because you have developed such research questions. Having done it, now you come to define a research design. Say, mind your research problem, research objective means research question, and now think of research design. Every study follows a research map. Every study has a blueprint. Study may be under the world context. It could be study from humanities, management sciences, social sciences, it may be economics, sociology, psychology. Any study has to follow some map. And the researchers in the world context have generated 3-4 maps. They are blueprints. The moment you talk to me that you have followed a descriptive research map, so many things are clear in my mind. If I am conducting Viva without opening your thesis, I may ask you, what was your research map? We call research design. And you tell me, this is the research design. Lots of things are clear in my mind that what you should have done and what you should have not done. Right. And these maps are 4 or 5, not many. It is like housing industry. I am not a construction engineer, nor an architect. But you and I can categorize housing industry like it is independent bungalows. It is twins, apartments, duplex, high, low rise, 4 or 5. Similarly, the research industry can be categorized in the 3-4 categories. And there are, this is a descriptive research design. There is an exploratory research design. There is an experimental research design. The latest, now there is a mixed method. You can combine. There is an action research. So these are all 4 or 5 maps. But your study has to follow. Any study you talk about the title research problem, and I will say it should follow this map. This clarity supervisor should have. The teacher should have who is guiding the student. I think he is the right person to tell you, help you to decide your research design. Once you design it, it is nothing to reverse it, You have to go ahead and ahead of it. So the first map is, and this is called, because we have short of time, this is called philosophical worldview of research. I am not going into the past history, but descriptive research and experimental research, both are called quantitative research. Exploratory research is a qualitative research, But this research are more or less are the worldview, philosophical worldview. That post-positivism worldview was there. It dictated descriptive research design. And descriptive research design, I tell you a simple meaning of descriptive research design means survey research. Survey research. And who doesn't know survey, the word survey? And 60 to 70% of the study in the world context, regardless of discipline, follow survey research. Because it's simpler, very important. It addresses 3-4 very important W. What you do, why you do, when you do, where do you do it. All W's are answered by descriptive research design. Friend, mind you, whatever discipline I take, how do I look at it, discipline? Because I am not knowing all discipline. Any discipline is nothing to me, is a bundle of 15, 20 variables. You talk about economics, demand, consumption, supply, consumer surplus, national income, economics, gravity, density, specific density, I think sound, physics, your sales, distribution, marketing, pricing, promotion. I am talking about marketing. Each discipline is nothing but, to me, bundle of 15, 20 variables. It becomes a discipline. And you should not try to know what is the interrelationship of these variables. How are they interrelated? Descriptive research tells you how are they interrelated. They try to test the hypothesis. They do forecasting. Descriptive research is versatile. Is a survey research is a versatile. Roughly I can talk to you that 60% to 70% of the world studies follow this map because it is easy. And it addresses almost all this, interrelationship among variable, describing characteristics of the product, characteristics of the user. It describes some forecasting technique. All this, some hypothesis to be generated, that descriptive research tells you. The survey research is wonderful. And what is a powerful tool in survey research? You generate a questionnaire. See, every step you have to be judicious. When I say ideal research process, right design should be chosen. Right design for your study. Suppose you are following descriptive research design, then what is a powerful research instrument? A questionnaire. And who does not know questionnaire? Everyone would say we know it. And if I ask some few questions, as if we don't know it. Under the name of questionnaire, people generate question bank. I have been to EDI 2 weeks after when the project was conceived by EDI. I was appointed after 2 weeks as an academician. And Dr. Vijay Patel gave me one booklet, 263 questions. I said, Patel Sahib, what is it all about? He says, it's a questionnaire. I said, Patel Sahib, frankly speaking, if you give it to me, and if you give me 1 week to fill it, I would say, so sorry, I have no patience of reading 263 questions and correctly responding it. It would be haphazard answer. He said, Dr. Brahmbhatt, you are a panel member, and you can change it, modify it. I said, give me 1 week time. And after 1 week, I reduced 263 questions to 23 questions without losing any vital information. What objectives we had in our mind without losing. Each question should be capable of bringing newer and newer inputs. You write 50 questions with yes, no, yes, no, yes, no, no meaning. Dichotomy has no meaning, right? It is 1:35 or 1:50. Every question should be bringing newer types of question, types and types of question. It will be structured question. You can ask fixed alternative, A, B, C, D, fixed alternative. You should ask because you cannot confuse the respondent. Give options. Because sometimes it may not occur in AI days, sometimes option may not occur to him. It may be highly technical. But A, B, C are in your mind. Put D, don't know, can't say. Right? You can like that. Don't know, can't say. You can write it. I was working with one product manufacturer in Ahmedabad in my room when I was in BK. I was generating questionnaire before him. And I wrote, don't know. And said, sir, everyone knows us. I say, why you bother? If everyone knows you, then against don't know, there will be zero. No one will tick it. I say, let us see. So we floated the questionnaire. 17 people, 17 people, place a tick against don't know. I asked the fellow, the 17 people don't know. I think you should do the qualitative research. Go to those 17 people. Conduct in-depth interview. How come they do not know? Many things will, see, don't know, we call DK question, don't know. I think because you simply add one, you get lots of things, Can't say, how come they can't say? Some 20 people say can't say. Get into the reason. It's a qualitative research. Get into it and try to know how they say. You ask a question, as a patriot, so your question starts like this. As a patriot, Indian, would you be buying the imported car? This is not a correct question. You write in the beginning, you put words, as a patriot Indian. And if you ask this question, 100 people would always say, will not buy. Because he will not try to address himself. No, he is a patriot. You put, it's a leading question, a wrong question. As a giant company, Reliance, would you buy? Can't, in the beginning of it, you put in his mind a giant company. It's not a correct question. You ask a question, how often would you be visiting Walmart? And you write the alternatives. Sometimes, rarely, regularly, often. Wrong question. What do you mean by sometimes? What do you mean by often? What do you mean by regularly? Your regularly and somebody else regularly may be differing. Write at least once a week. twice a week, 3 times a month. Some such in questionnaire also you have to be judicious. You know, if I say, would you be satisfied with my lecture, and if I write satisfied, not satisfied, wrong question. Satisfaction has no dichotomy. Minimum 5 level. Highly satisfied, satisfied, neither satisfied nor dissatisfied. Dissatisfied, highly dissatisfied. Would you be buying this particular product, or have you an intention to buy this product? If you have a marketing survey and you say buy, don't buy, wrong question. You know, this is no dichotomy. Maximum, I would definitely buy. I would buy. I might or might not buy. I will not buy. I would certainly not buy. In one of my surveys I was guiding, I added the 6th one. I would buy and recommend my friends to buy. And there were 7 people ticking. I talked to the manufacturer. These are your ambassadors. 7 ambassadors. Had I added one category, the questionnaire by itself also, these are all scale question. We call scale question. You agree, disagree, you don't write agree, disagree. Minimum 5. Right from strongly disagree to strongly disagree. So questionnaire also should be judicious. Its number also count. I don't require 100 questions. It may be a world study. Epitomized with 20, 25 questions, sufficient for me. Give me any study. I am not a master. I am also trying to understand nuances of research, even today. But 20, 25 questions, maximum 30 is enough. So if you do this, you have done a good survey, right? But surveys are incapable of bringing the undercurrents or the undergoing human experiences, the patterns of human experiences, human behavior. I might ask you, how much do you buy this stock? When do you buy? How often you buy? Is quantitative. But what is your motive of buying? Oh, the word motive. Motive is not written. It's a psyche of individual. It comes 10th layer, you know. If you give, I say, what is your attitude toward this? And you abruptly give an answer. Attitude is not written on the forehead. Everyone would say that we have a socially desirable answer. We have positive attitude. Attitude is not only positive, negative. In order to get into the depth of attitude, I think you don't require descriptive research, you know. You say, what is the meaning of music to old people? And you say, it is pastime. No. You have to do some qualitative research, and you have to get into it. If you wanted to know what is the experience of post-birth from mother's point of view, from mother-in-law's point of view, from gynec's point of view, you don't require survey. Survey will not give you an answer. In survey, people give you a socially desirable answer. You have to go in depth. Not only people don't conduct even simple interview. I am talking about you have to do in-depth interview. And the depth is a psychological depth. You know, the motive comes is like the layers of onion. You go on uncovering. The 10th layer is motive. And people will not say, this is my motive abruptly. I have asked this question joining people, some program. Abruptly they say, why you join? What is your motive of joining? 20 people give 20 answers. Because you are asking, bichara, you are pressurizing. So he gives answer. None of them is motive. Motive is much, much deeper. In order to understand the psyche and such perception, how often we use the word perception in day-to-day conversation? To perceive, you go to the dictionary. To perceive me to see. So the blind person cannot perceive. I think he perceives sometimes much better than you. In order to know the perception, in order to know the attitude, in order to know the motive, I think, you know. I talk about questionnaire, that it should be. Suppose you have designed nice questionnaire, nicely worded. But I was working with Seva, and if you go to tribal women, illiterate women, and if you go your questionnaire, would they understand it? See, I just talked about questionnaire just now, couple of minutes back. But suppose I have a tribal study. I think during my tenure with Seva, 15 years, we have about 22 tribal studies. I wanted to know their subculture, culture, their taboos. Would they understand my questionnaire? You don't require descriptive research there. You require exploratory research. The second map, It is called interpretivism. They interpret in their own way, in their social setting. You have to go to their huts and observe them. Be with them for 10, 12 days. If you wanted to do the study of poverty, poverty papers will not help you. Some Afghan people came in Seva. I asked them that you really wanted to understand poverty in the Radhanpur area. Some salt workers were there. I say, are you prepared to be with them? Hats off to them, they were prepared. They stayed with them 7, 8 days. Dr. P.V. Desai and we both were there. 10th day they came, 8th day they came in the boardroom of Seva. And then they say, we don't want to talk about any paper of poverty. We don't want to discuss deliberate. We have experienced poverty along with them. You know, this is, thank you so much, thank you. This is an exploratory research. You know, the tears in the eyes of child or tears in the eyes of the women as a means of communication is a purely exploratory study. You know, if you wanted to know some newer concept, you have to do exploratory study. Suppose you wanted to develop a go green concept, a newer concept. So developing concept means exploratory study. It's the second method. An exploratory study will help you in many varieties of ways. It's so innovative and creative that you require some help, you know, to explore better. And there are sources to help you. One of them is literature review. It can help you. But it helps you, you study the contrasted cases. Contrasted cases means we are asking now, parents are very aware, and they ask their kids to study the success stories. You know, corporate success stories. Good. But you have to parallelly ask them to study the stories of failures. You know, I have one book with me of Walter Vieira, Unsuccessful Salesman, 23. When I was in BK, I was subscribing Business World. There was one issue of, shall I see it? One issue of Business World. The title was 48 Marketing Flops in India. 48 marketing flops. Each story of each flop. But you know, if you read the last paragraph, you can learn how to revive them. You know, so contrasted cases, you can learn to explore better. There are projective techniques, though time here to narrate all. But there are techniques which indirectly you can ask, not a direct question. Like direct question, if you ask what is your attitude? No, everyone would say positive. I say, what is your attitude to women liberation? Who dares to say no? Everyone says, we are for women liberation, you know. Because, you know, the attitude, when it comes to behavior, then only you come to know what would be the attitude. It is called attitude is a forerunner of behavior. It is first being built up in your mind and then reflects into behavior. Right? It's a forerunner. But indirectly, if you ask, if I say, I wanted to know my coffee, brand of coffee that I am manufacturing, I do great survey and come to know 10, 12, 15 questions, come to know about my coffee, aroma, taste, this, that. But I can generate a word association test. I can tell them, put them in a game situation. And I say, see, I speak one word. And within 2-3 seconds, see, I'm saying second, you reflect back what occurs to you. I say coffee and tell me back and I note down there. If you take more than psychologists say, if you take more than 3 seconds, your answer is colored. Your answer is associated with some motive. Your answer is not entirely unbiased. So I may accept your word, but I may not count in my content analysis. Right. So immediately they come back with the word. And those words you now content analyze. And you relate your brand with that feature. So some such techniques are called projective techniques. You knowingly, unknowingly project yourself. So this is all the parts of exploratory. I give you a very concrete example. All of you may be remembering Maruti 800. oldest people today even remember. They go nostalgic by remembering Maruti 800, right? Maruti 800 sold like anything, you know. Then they came with Maruti Van. The Maruti Van did not pick up. They did survey. Nothing came out of survey. Some percentages came. That Maruti Van was such, some 78% liked it, but they were not happy. They say, let us go to qualitative research. Right. See, qualitative research. They use one technique called symbolic analogy. They started a symbolic analogy. Qualitative research means it doesn't give you any pressure. You are as if you are playing a game. They say, you are comparing Maruti 800 with which animal are you comparing? See, with which animal are you comparing Maruti 800? So several of them said, it's like a cat. Some said, it's like a rabbit. So those who said cat, they were again asked, then what do you think about your Maruti van? Then what was the response, you know? This is a larger cat. Those who said rabbit, this is a larger rabbit. Would you believe in, from these two responses, the research team of Maruti, oh, they say we got the clues. We don't require survey now. We understood why Maruti van did not pick up. How come, you know? Those who said cat, they say larger cat. Those who said rabbit, Maruti van is a larger rabbit. So this said that Maruti van has no identity of his own. The people related, reference point is Maruti 800. So they fall back upon Maruti 800. Hindustan Lever Limited, HLL, had about 152 SKUs, stock keeping units, and all 138 have different identity, should have. If you have 50 products of your own company, one company, each product should have its own equity, each product should have its own identity. And it cannot be parasitic. And these people thought that Maruti van's identity is parasitic. It depends on Maruti 800. Immediately they change the advertisement. Now they say Maruti van is a Omni, Maruti Omni. Then they brought word, Maruti van is a family van. Maruti van is a vacation van. Would you believe? Without changing any mechanism, without changing, with some small advertising campaign with these new narratives, it shot up. So this happens. I am not narrating all projective techniques, or maybe you are knowing TAT, thematic a-perception test, TAT. You are shown a picture and shown, keep it for hardly a half a minute with you. And the picture is not of peacock or elephant. It may be like M.F. Hussein's art. And then what do I tell you? That write a story on it. See the picture, write a story. Story means what? A small paragraph on it. And if I decode your paragraph, I can see your identity. You are reflected in your paragraph. If you are humorous, your story will be humorous. If you have sense of humor, it will be reflected in that. So TAT. So these type of things are called exploratory map. And there is an experimental map. Neither survey nor even exploration, experimental. Suppose I give you a training for 3 days and I wanted to know what is the effectiveness of my training. Then I will try to compare 2 scenarios. What were you before training and what are you after training? So I see before after scenario, you know, and I am testing my treatment, my training. You know, in HRD, human resource development, there are HRD intervention. And I wanted to know the effectiveness of HRD intervention. I would say before state, before situation, after situation. Some 20 people I might choose. I call them an experimental group because I operate on them. But those 20 who are not given training, who are already with the company for last 3 years. I measure them also. It's called control group, to compare all medicinal, all clinical psychology, all in medicinal tests, pharma tests. They adopt experimental design. They choose some random sample. They apply the treatment with 30-40 people or 30-40 store, and some 30-40 which are not exposed to treatment. Those are not exposed, it's called control group. Those are exposed, it's called experimental. And now make a comparison and try to study the efficacy of the treatment. This is experimental design. Third map. But these are the days of the pragmatism. The people try to mix both the method. It's called mixed method approach. If you tell your friends who are doing research, and if you say, I have adopted mixed method, he will look up to you because it's considered to be the latest method. Like in a doctoral work, 3-4 years, you start with survey, maybe 2-3 survey done, analysis done, but now during survey, during interview, you have your investigator have found 5-7 people, respondent, they are really creative. And they tell tell you that, sir, during our interview, these 7-8 people who filled up the questionnaire, they are extremely creative. And then what do? You conduct in-depth interview of those 7-8 people. In-depth interview. Sit with them for 20-25 hours with their consent. I ask the question. Maybe sometimes you ask the series of why question. Right. There also you have to be very careful. Because at the 5th why, they may say, why are you asking? It may misfire. So you have to be very careful. It's called laddering. And why, and why, and why. From one step to other, laddering. You are traveling with Singapore Airlines, why? You say there are the comforts are there in other airlines, then why? Then the food quality is very good. So the food quality is good in other lines, and then why? Their hostesses are smiling, but that is also there in other airlines. So you are asking series of why questions. And at the end you come to know, oh, this is the problem. This is that you understand by yourself, you understand, oh, this response tells me why are they often going with Singapore Airlines. So some such technique. So from survey, you go to these 10-12 people. So from a quantitative research, you go to qualitative research. In the same study, it's called mixed method. You start with qualitative. In qualitative research, in-depth interview, you generate a focus group. These are qualitative research tools. Focus group of 7-8 people. Discuss your problem with them for 30 minutes, 40 minutes. One group discussion may not be enough. With their consent, you say, shall we meet again? I was doing it in MICA when I was teaching MICA. With one problem, we have 7-8 focus group at different time. So this is all qualitative research technique. But having done it, now you feel, now shall we conduct a small survey? So from qualitative research, now we are entering into quantitative research. It's a mixed method. It's a pragmatism. But there is an approach like advocacy, participatory. Friends, I was working couple of years back with the Liverpool University, Liverpool. And they were thinking of starting a DBA program, Doctor of Business Administration. For that, from world over, they have generated a panel. And I was a panel member. And we were discussing what should be the design of this course. And see, DBA program was meant, who were the likely candidates, The likely candidates were, the scholars who support to join were vice president and CEOs of company. They did not want to do DBA to get promotion. Like in academia, they do morally, they do PhD to become associate professor, from an assistant, from full-fledged professor for associate. That was not their objective. They did not want any rise in salary. They were VPs, CEOs. it was not, they were not given 4 years, 5 years like PhD. It was maybe 8 months, 1 year program, maximum, DBA program. Now see the earlier maps, these maps I am talking, descriptive cannot help, exploratory cannot help, experimental cannot help. Now here we thought action research, action research. Both are parallelly going, simultaneously, action and research, evaluation every time, and short term, right? Action taking, action planning, evaluating, feedback, taking feedback, loop back, improve again, so whole loop. And what was the objective? At the end of the day, there should be a visible change in the current practices or processes that they are adopting. They were versatile CEOs. They are adopting several practices, right, and processes. But the top management wanted that can they bring the change in it? And so the question was, has the change occurred? At the end of the day, they have to address question. Has the change occurred? At what rate it occurred? At what pace it occurred? What was the directionality of the change? Which direction? All these are addressed by action research. Somebody wanted to do the employee welfare program government wanted to do. Within the government tells you, the team, that we give you 6 months. They will not give you 4 or 5 years. So they will adopt action research. So friend, these are the maps. These are the maps that one can follow. What we can talk blueprint map. The technical name is research design. So having defined research question, objective, you have to define your research design. We talk about different tools in it also, right? Having done research design, suppose you have very correctly chosen the design and went through it, then comes a problem. See, say research process. You have generated, suppose you have adopted survey research. You design a questionnaire. All what I talked to you kept in mind. Research designing questionnaire. In Nirma when I was there, sometimes we will keeping one full day workshop of designing questionnaire. Now suppose you took all care and designed a good questionnaire. Now it is to be addressed to whom? Now see, the whole audience is before you. Your target audience is quite a big. It may be so many thousand. Suppose you do the bank study, bank employee, there are many banks. You do consumer study, several thousand consumers, right? So you define what is your target audience. You have to define it. Sampling is also a process. You should have in your mind what is your target audience. If I place a question, put a question, you should be able to tell me. You can tell me my target question audience is 20 plus women, college going women in the state of Gujarat is my target audience. Quite a big, but it's a target audience. But your questionnaire should be addressed to all this. They are 10,000. You cannot address to entire population, entire aggregate. There is a wonderful concept of sampling. You know, sometimes we say sampling is for, if you ask the question to the students or an examination, why you do sampling? They say saving time, saving cost. Sometimes I tell them that the corporation tells you that don't save time. Take time as much as as long as you want. Spend as much as you can. Still you should not do the whole study. You should have recourse to sampling. Because sampling brings accuracy. You know, I cannot go to the 10,000 women, college-going women of state of Gujarat. I should have chosen a sample. So my investigator also can focus on them. There be an amount of accuracy. So sampling is a wonderful concept in the process. And when I say sampling, there are two crucial problems. That what sampling method would you use? And what is the sample size? At both, you should be very clear. See, we are talking about ideal research process. If you ask this question to your friend doing PhD, two common responses come. Two. I have tested with so many students. They what sampling method you use? Two responses come. They say either random sampling or they say convenience sampling. And if you ask the next question, they are confused. Either they say random or they say convenience. Both are sampling method. If you ask the next question, that have you tested the randomness? And he looks at you. He says, testing randomness? Now, this is the ideal process. There are ways and ways of testing randomness. You should have to get into literature available, And then, therefore, you should be, these are the people for you. I remember Fisher and Eight, the statisticians, they have generated random number tables at about 50, 60 years back, maybe 100 years back. I have seen their paper. They have undergone 1 lakh experiment of randomness, 1 lakh. And the tables are available. And suppose I wanted to select 50 families out of 100. All those 100 you give number 1 to 100. I want 25 families from it. You open that Fisher Red table. Any page you open randomly. In that there are numbers. And the numbers are like this 37291102. Don't doubt, because they have undergone the all tests. The first number is 34. Select 34, 34th house. The second is 09. Take 9th house. The third is 11. Take 11th house. Collect 25 house. It's your random sample. Write in your paper, if you publish a paper, write in your paper that I have taken the help of Fisher and Yates table, world over known. No interviewer, no reviewer, no editor will say no. This is your random sample, right? Your sampling method depends on the composition of your target audience. What is your composition and your objective? So there are varieties of method. I am not getting into the details of it. See, if you step out of the room, step out of the house, every target audience, hardly there are homogeneous. They are all heterogeneous. Lots of diversity. Hardly you get homogeneous house group. Everywhere you get lots of diversity. In a class of MBA, if there are 100 students are there, it is not a homogeneous group, because they are all from different background. Before MBA, they came from humanity, they came from sciences, right? It's a diverse group, right? So if there is a diversity, you forget random sampling. There is a method, stratified random sampling. You have to categorize. So if you want to the customer study, customers are totally diverse population. You categorize them. Criteria you decide. According to income bracket. According to age bracket. So it is called age-wise stratification, income-wise stratification. And from each age group, you draw some sample. So these are the methods, right? But suppose and all these methods are objective and unbiased. You are impartial. Randomness means you are not partial to anybody. You are treating all equal. But suppose you say, no, I wanted to be biased. I wanted to be subjective, deliberately. I don't want to be objective. There are methods we call non-probability method. You go to quota sample. You choose your own quota. Suppose if you wanted to sample of 20, and in 20 you want some 10% MBA, you want gender ratio 60-40 in those 20. Then you are your investigator to follow your quota. Is it deliberate? Is it totally, you have said that you don't want to be objective. Mine is a quota sample, right? Mine is a quota sample. So these are some methods which are non-probability. You deliberately say that for my objective I wanted quota, my quota, the way I wanted it. But friend, there are 10, 12 methods, but you have to have a reasoning for your method. If I ask you why you chose this method, you should have some justification, right? What is the second question to be addressed? Sample size. See, very crucial. You ask your friend, those who are doing study or doctorate, you say, tell them what was your sample size, you ask them. Mostly they would say 100, someone would say 200. If you have a PhD student, you ask them, what was your sample size? They say 400. I have asked the question in the Viva. I say, boy, what was your sample size? They say 400. I say, could it not be 398? Could it not be 403? What is sacrosanct about multiple of 100? Right. In an auspicious occasion like the birthday, marriage ceremony, if you give 701, 501, it is understandable, the figure, maybe 1001, auspicious figure. But in a sample size, would it be 500, 400? It was one funny experiment in Bhavnagar University. The guide was there, Vice Chancellor was there. And I asked a question, what was your sample size? The student said, sir, earlier I thought 500. But then I could not get 500. I went to my guide and he said, take 450. I tried to get 450. Even though I could not approach 450, I again went to my guide. Guide was there sitting with us. He said, take 450. Take 400. Every encounter to guide, and there was a drop of 50. And then I did not ask further. Sample size should not be all the time multiple of. There are formulas. Friend, there are formulas available. And in the formulas are not that deep. I think all of you have your younger brother, sister. Some of them may be studying primary. You may have your brother's kids, sister kids. You primary. A fourth grade student can solve this formula. Such formulas are there. It did not require any advanced knowledge. Would you be collecting afterwards? Right. Hardly a small formula, and you plug the required information and you get the number, that sample size number. That number may not be a multiple of 100. It may be odd figure 397, 392. And there are varieties of formula. And there are specific name given. That is why I am not narrating all them here. There is a formula like confidence level approach formula. Small formula. Right. You have to simply see the formula and the required values to be plugged in, which are available. Values are available. And you get a magic figure. And the 397, if you write in your thesis or in research paper and send to any reviewer outside, US and UK, and you say, we have followed confidence level approach formula and we arrived at this number, nobody in the world context will deny it. And that is your scientific size. This is a scientific research process. You understood it? Sampling method, scientifically done. Sample size, scientifically done. And then comes, you chose a sample with the right method, the right sample, and the question that's come back. Right? 392 question that's come back. And now real problems start here. What is the problem? The data are now with you. And the problem sometimes students face, and you will be surprised, sometimes supervisors face. That what to do with this data? Data have come back. How to analyze it? And there again in the research process, you should have a scientific analysis of the data. Data analysis, right type of data analysis will lead you to right type of interpretation. No percentage presentation like Times of India or newspaper presentation. You simply put the variable and put the second column percentages and you interpret percentages. That is not true research. Right. There are analysis and analysis. And for that, some 20 sessions may be given for that. I have conducted in this AMA, some 15-20 years back, 30 days program, marketing research program. And I remember two people from the entertainment industry had joined it. I have discouraged them that how do you need it? They have attended my first two sessions and they said, no, we require it. It would be helpful to us. And then we taught many varieties of analytical technique. I am simply giving just a passing reference that there are analysis and analysis, And nothing difficult these days because there are softwares available. Earlier in our days, it was really nothing was available. Everything was to be done manually. We learnt a lot from manually. All logic we learn. This is not being learned through software, but softwares are available. And there are, I talk about even univariate, one single variable analysis. There are three types of analysis. Univariate means you focus only in one variable. You focus on sales. Data is only on sales. It is not so that practical. Data can be on varieties of variables. But you have data is only on sales. Right. Data is only on demand. It's called univariate. But there also people don't know. Suppose they want average sales. Suppose your data is only on income. And you wanted to find average income. We people, so-called researchers, are not correctly using correct average. If your data, income data, your correct average is median income. I think right from your school days mean, mode, median. People laugh away. What is to be learned there? It's a mean, mode, median. But we don't judiciously use even this is called the measures of central tendency, basic measures. That also we are not using correctly. If you want to represent the average income, count average income and present somewhere, it has got to be median income. There are many judicial explanation for it. I don't get into it right now. We don't have right time here. Because income distribution, open-ended distribution, therefore no other measure can be useful. It is only median. You go to the the market research agency, you read that report, the word that they use, median income. They don't use average income, It's a median is the true average. But suppose bivariate, only two. You deal with suppose only two variables. It is also not reality. Reality is multivariate. Right. It may be a small study. Your study don't focus only on two variables. But if you focus only on two variables, it is called bivariate. Two variate. If the demand, if you don't want by default comes price. Demand and price are married. There is they are related. It's a marriage, demand and price. Whenever you think of demand, you have to think of price. Otherwise, demand analysis is completely incomplete. If you think of sales, you have to think of advertising. Right. In finance also, if you think of ROI, you have to think of some finance variable. So, bivariate is a step ahead. And then I think all of you know that in bivariate you have sales data and advertising data. Minimum you find correlation. I know all of you know correlation. I think many of you may be knowing the symbol for correlation is small r. It's called correlation coefficient. And suppose sales data and advertising data, and R is 0.7. And would you report R 0.7? So there there the right process comes in. That no, wait. Because people understand what? No. People take R as a percentage. R is not percentage. R is some ratio. You go to the formula of correlation coefficient. It's a ratio. It's not percentage. People say R.7. People report in doctoral study, they report 0.7. They write very high correlation. You have to wait. Just square it. Square 0.7. What is it? 0.49. What is the meaning of it? The data that you have on sales and advertisement are capable of explaining the variation in the data to an extent of only 49%. Your data is explaining only 49% variation. 51% remains unexplained. So you need not be happy with R.7. Now this is what I talk, right process. Then you have to test it. I don't get into it. You have to test it. Without testing, you cannot even accept R.8. So this is, I am talking about bivariate. But the reality is multivariate. If you get outside the class and you face the world which is multidimensional, multivariate. Your any study, you have 20, 25 variable. I think, what do I mean by variable? Those who are novice here, I tell you in a questionnaire, your first question is on age, second is on income, the third is gender, the fourth is education, the sixth is the intention to buy, the seventh is satisfaction level. These are variables. Computer will call it X1, X2, X3. Maybe any discipline. It may be finance questionnaire, it may be marketing related questionnaire. Computer calls it X1, X2. The minimum, if you have 20 questions, you have 20 variables. Right? So your study is a multivariate. Now here you have to choose varieties of techniques depending on your objective. Varieties of technique. Wonderful techniques, I tell you. And you must have heard the name like factor analysis, multiple regression analysis, conjoint analysis. But because your friend used factor analysis in her thesis, you should not use. Your data should be amenable to factor analysis. Researchers have found out, made it so easy for you. If you wanted to know the factor analysis, you should have some minimum sample size. You can't just blindly use it. It's called n square plus 50. You have 20 variables in your questionnaire, 20 variables, square it, 400 plus 50. You should have 450 variables. Your sample size should be minimum 450. Otherwise, factor analysis will not work. We blindly use it. Right. It's a wonderful technique. Factor analysis is called a data condensation technique. At the end of the day, if you wanted to talk to, you are a consultant to somebody, and he said, tell me some 4 factor on which shall I work. You are a consultant. You cannot talk to, you started with 20, 25 variables. You are analyzing them. But your client is not in the mood of listening from you 20 variables. He is listening. He wanted to know only 3, 4. At the end of the day, you have to talk to him, that you work on your price, you work on your quality, you work on durability of your product. You focus on the price of your product, you focus on your durability of product, you focus on the convenience parameter there. Only 3 factors. How do you brought these 3 factors? You club those 20. You club X1, X7 and X10 and call it quality. You club X9, X13, X17 and X19. Call it convenience. How to club it? That is algorithm. That is factor analysis. They are clubbing variables which are clubbable, aggregable, and give you name. It's a wonderful technique. I call it data condensation technique. You condense your whole data into only 3 factors.
You know, it's like a space shuttle. You go with many parts. With that space travel, you throw up in the space journey. Right. Ultimately, you stick to three. This is factor analysis. Wonderful. But you should know minimum size. You should know the algorithm. You should know the objective. See, all variables are measured on certain scales. I think friends, some of you may be knowing, there are 4 scales: nominal, ordinal, interval, and ratio. All variables are measured on this scale. Depending on the nature of scale, you can use technique. If you wanted to use multiple regression analysis, wonderful. Regression analysis means one variable is dependent with so many other independent. If it is marketing, sales is dependent on 20 other independent variables. If you are in finance, ROI is depends on 20 other finance variables. One dependent variable, several independent. All should be measured on either interval scale or a ratio scale. If they are not measured on that, you cannot use it is denied. Your data is ordinal, nominal to other scale. You can use chi-square. Wonderful analysis. But your data should be nominally measured, ordinally measured. If your data is ordinal, nominal, there is a whole branch we call non-parametric test. Right? You can use them. If only it is ordinal, nominal. Otherwise it is denied. Several are denied to you. Right? But suppose if you wanted to do every science, there are problems of classification. Every science. Friend, everywhere problem. In biology, it's not only biology. In finance, what is the classification? Suppose I am advancing loan. So before advancing loan to the candidate, I will like to know whether he is a good risk or bad risk. Right. Good risk or bad. The economists sitting in that chamber are classifying. What are they classifying? In a quasi chamber, below poverty line, above poverty. It's a classification. They change your line, poverty line, they lower down, they bring up. They say these are above poverty line, APL. These are below poverty line. And government gives schemes and the advantage is to BPL. And the classification, economic classification. They classify area, rural, urban, combine both. In Ahmedabad, there are urban areas. You can find urban, rural and urban culture both mixed. But in this classification, what do? Sometimes we misclassify. Some good risk people, I wrongly label them as bad risk. Right. Some rural area, I misclassify as urban. So in our classification with our criteria, there is a possibility of some misclassification. So there is a wonderful analysis. What is the name of it? Discriminant analysis. That gives you what is your correct classification. That 80% is correct classification. But 20% is your misclassification. So I think for error of classification, that is such a wonderful area, wonderful analysis. So analysis, So many brands of the product prevailing, so many brand of toothpaste, 10 and you buy only one. I think you are using, and nobody here will be using 3 brands of toothpaste. I think mostly I don't use 3 brands. I use only 1 brand. Brands of toothpaste are 7, 8, 10 in the market. Now, if I wanted to, I'm a brand manager, I wanted to suppose bring a new brand, and I have 7 brands are there in the market. And then I do a study. And I go to the respondent and I ask them to know their perception. And what I am asking, that what are most similar brands? What are less similar? What are still, according to them, according to their perception, what are the most similar brand? What are still less similar brand? What are most dissimilar brand? And I collect data. What is the data? Similarity, dissimilarity. We have algorithm. This data can be translated into a perceptual map. What is the name of map? Perceptual mapping. The map is generated. Map. You can see the map. Open up the Google. You write perceptual mapping. You will see map. The map is X and Y axis. And brands are there. Colgate, other brand of all. 7-8 brands of toothpaste. On certain criteria. Maybe on cavity filling, on flavor. Suppose two attributes. I am measuring them on what is their capability of cavity filling and what is the flavor wise. And there are 7-8 brands scattered and a perceptual map is generated. And in that brand, there is some gap. You will find a gap in the map. And go to the map and go to the corresponding axis. That gap, you generate your new brand and you fill up that brand, fill up that gap, sitting in your room without going to the market. This concept in marketing is called what is, you position your brand there. Where? When there is a gap. The gap prevents you that moderate flavor and moderate cavity filling is not available in the market because there is a gap. Those which are close, in suppose the Colgate brand A, and there is one very close brand B, very closely associated, put on a map. They are competitors. The brand A, the Colgate brand, should be careful about B because it's coming much closer to it. This all you see not by traveling market. On screen you see there is a brand you Colgate and there is one brand D much farther to you. You should not be much afraid of it. It's much farther. So those who are much closer, they are competitors. They are much farther, they are not competitors. There is a gap. You fill that gap by positioning your brand. Yours is a new brand. There are 7 existing in the brand. Yours is the 8th brand. The whole concept, if you go to the marketing textbook, is called brand position. And how do you do it? By perceptual mapping. It is called MDS, multi-dimensional scaling technique. So there are techniques and techniques. Learning is not difficult. Not difficult. Because softwares are available. But tremendous. Friend, only like 5 minutes. If you have done all this correctly, right from comprehensive literature, right comprehensive literature, 3 R's I am using, right, relevant and recent comprehensive literature. Rightly designing your research problem, rightly splitting into 4-5 research questions, rightly choosing your research design, rightly designing your questionnaire, rightly choosing your sampling method, scientifically choosing your sample size, rightly choosing the analytical technique like factor, and rightly analyzing it. And if you draw interpretation, this interpretation are the finest interpretation, most objective conclusion, most advisable findings, you can straight put to use. Your research is actionable, your research is implementable. It throws varieties of managerial implication. You use them, you sharpen, you refine your decision-making process. It helps you. After all, research is a tool. It doesn't surpass you, it doesn't substitute you. is a tool to help you. It sharpens your decision-making process. So the whole process, if you add up, it is bound to be a conclusive, bound to be implementable, bound to be an actionable research. You can straight push to action. If you can't put it, something wrong has gone somewhere. You check your research process. And only last one word I am adding. With all this, one more concept, that every step you have to be ethical. Ethics in research. Ethical. Choosing sampling plan ethically. You have respondent, 100 people you are approaching, don't transgress upon their confidentiality. They have right to anonymity. They have right to confidentiality. They have right to privacy. Don't disturb them. Right. There are three major stakeholders in any research. Three. Sponsor of the research. Second is respondent. And you, three researchers. You three are interlinked. You three have to maintain decorum of each other. You have three have to maintain sanctity of each other. You know, the sponsor, you have a right, you have a responsibility. The sponsor, he has sponsored your research. He asks at the end of the research several deliverables to him. You have to deliver. Right. Right. You have 100 respondents. They have right to confidentiality. Some of them say, don't give our name. They have right to anonymity. So they have rights and responsibility. One's right becomes another's responsibility. So this is ethical aspect is also equally important, every step. So you have chosen a right process and all ethical standards you have kept in mind is bound to result into an actionable research. You can straightway put to the action. I think therefore we talk that right for conceiving a right process, how can it lead it to implementable research? Not a single research, if you have adopted this process, can be always conclusive, always. And what is the additional gain? Friends, this research, this right process and this research will direct you to where? Direct you to the, the potential future areas, potential research for future. It will throw open potential areas of research. Top-notch director, including the Honorable President Savan Bhai, who was our student, and including he, at the end of the day in Viva, wonderful work done by any student. We congratulate. I have done in many Viva. You have lots of wonderful work done. We have two friends sitting here in audience. They have completed PhD. And wonderful work done. We congratulate. But always I have talked to them that nice work done. You deserve congratulations. But keep in mind, this Viva or this PhD is a true beginning of potential areas of research which your thesis will throw open. A right thesis or right study will throw open. They also agree. Okay, now, so many things now come up to our mind. Wonderful works in the world context of the researcher, they have agreed that this we have done after our PhD. PhD was done, PhD degree obtained. But so many other avenues were thrown open by our PhD. The research process, ideal research process, becomes conclusive and it unfolds potential areas of future research. So that is an additional gain of the ideal research process. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everybody. If you have any questions, or we can sum up, it is already 8 o'clock. If any questions pertaining to your research or something academic, or if there is something one-on-one, you can also discuss with him while we are leaving.
Just one request, sir.
Thank you so much, sir, for enlightening all of us. I am one of the lucky guys who did my PhD with Dr. Brahmbhatt, sir. So thank you so much, sir, for blessing. I would like to request, sir, if a longer version of workshop possible on qualitative research. Qualitative research. It is a request if you can in future conduct
Quality research.
qualitative research.
Qualitative
Research. Workshop or longer duration of qualitative research. Because very few institutions and experts teach qualitative research. So if you in future if you can do,
Hello.
it will help.
Yeah. I think in the course of our talk, when I gave you an example that if you wanted to know the post birth experience from mother's perspective, survey will not work. It's a qualitative research. The in-depth interview, if you sit with a person, in-depth interview, the name is in-depth, I have to ask many questions. And I think we'll be very careful while asking questions, And you go one by one and try to know her psyche and get in deeper and deeper into one's psyche, Maybe sometime it may be a rebound. We have to be careful in conducting in-depth. But these techniques they are all qualitative research. Ethnography. So I wanted to the tribal women culture, subculture, the taboos. And if I go for a prolonged period, I have to be with them. The word prolong. One day will not work. I have to often go to them. When I was working as a consultant to Seva, we had done this. Be there for often, be there, be as if one of them. It is called participant observation. You are both observer and a participant. Try to, from close corner, observe them. Because at the first week, they were absconding. First week, they were going to the fields. Somebody said the people have come from government. So you have to be one of them, observe them, and slowly, gradually try to know their taboo, their culture, their subculture. So varieties of techniques. These are all qualitative research techniques. Like discourse analysis. I guided when I was PDU, one candidate did the Twitter analysis, collected tweeters, right? It was on Gujarat election, past election. He collected 10,000 tweeters, and then we decoded. We decode the meaning of it. So decoding the tweeters, we categorized tweeters, some 10, 12 categories generated. So this is all the qualitative research tool. But the topic is like this. If you wanted to do the consumer behavior, to know the demand estimation, if I launch a study product and I want to do the post-launch survey, okay, how did my product work? I go to the people, how did you like it? How your perception about price? What do you think about durability? This is quantitative research. But if I wanted to know the meaning of music to old people, then I have to know. Simply I cannot ask one question. Okay, how do you like music and what is the meaning to you? It's not enough. It's not pastime. You have to go and meet with them, sit with the old people. Studies have been conducted and it has come out that is not pastime for them. Several of them say it's our identity. It's our identity. So many studies are done. In South Nepal, there were, there were the maternal, the deaths were there, maternal deaths. During pregnancy, there were so many deaths. And all qualitative research had not worked. Right. Survey research did not work. So people have generated this ethnography. One Kiran, who had done MBA in ethnography, she went to the rural side of Nepal, sat with them, stayed with them, ate what they ate, 10, 12, 15 days they remained with them. Because they were brought to the hospital, maternal hospital, and they were all hurry, going back. They were asked that it will be very dangerous for you. You are in a critical period and you should be with us. Crying before Kiran, that somehow we wanted to go back. And what was the reason? Survey, quantitative research would not have brought any result. They went there, tried to observe them. 10 women like this, who were in the 9th month pregnancy, and they were due for birth. 10 of them, when they went to their houses, remained that they tried to come to the real reason, because their goats were pregnant. They are worried about their goats' pregnancy, right? Not their own pregnancy. Very high rate of deaths were there. Kiran himself said, Kiran is a master's MBA in ethnography. Kiran said that as a research, had I not done the qualitative research, I would have failed as a researcher. Qualitative research has evolved me as a researcher. So tremendous gain of qualitative research. And varieties I am not, it's called discourse analysis. It's called it is a theory, grounded theory. For grounded theory, it's a technique. The theory is not to found anywhere. It is grounded in such data, the data that is collected over a period of weeks being with them. Because simple question there will be a socially desirable answer. We are learned also, we will give a socially desirable. Suppose someone comes to your house and you entertain, he or she, and the question is on attitude. You will simply answer in terms of a positive attitude, a socially desirable answer.
I think it will
Only
take another
qualitative research goes in depth. And I think it's a whole branch now emerging.
Yes, that will need another separate lecture, I think. Right? Anything else, especially? Otherwise, let us all clap for sir for his valuable time. You can talk to him in person. It is already 8:05. We would like to close it on time also. Thank you very much, everybody, for joining. Keep coming, keep sharing your feedback, especially for the research area. Whatever you want, we are ready to give. Like stalwarts like Dr. Brahmbhatt is coming here and sharing. We have a couple of other faculties also who are regularly with us. Thank you very much once again.
Thank you so much.